Welcome back. The author of Charles III, The Inside Story, and the Daily Mail journalist Robert Hardman joins me now. Lovely to see you this morning, Robert. Goodness me, it's been a busy few days for us royal watchers, hasn't it? How significant, just sum up historically how significant the announcement that Prince Andrew made on Friday actually is, that he's relinquishing his titles and is effectively now going to, I don't know, become some kind of private citizen with no royal ties at all?
Yeah, I mean, it is, I think, very significant. I think it's significant for the Duke, ex-Duke, of course. I think we have to go back to 2019. By the way, his statement, I'm not sure about his maths, because in his statement he talked about how he stepped back from public duties 5 years ago, but it was actually 6 years ago. It was 2019, November, when that happened. And I think this is the most significant statement since then. I think also it's significant, the King has made a decisive decision. It can't have been easy.
No.
I think it's one of the most interesting decisions perhaps of this reign. But it's quite clear that the institution comes first, family second. I think the Duke was basically given an ultimatum. It's either we can do this the nice way or the hard way. And if you don't relinquish your titles and honours, then we will take them away. And that would have taken us into really pretty awkward territory, because Parliament would have to get involved to strip him of his dukedom. And as for stripping him of Knight of the Garter, that involves a rather spectacular and very messy medieval ceremony called degradation. I think the last time it was 1716 when the Garter banner was torn down and kicked into the gutter. The only other time Garter knights have been expunged from the order was because they were actually on the enemy sides in two world wars, the last one being Emperor Hirohito of Japan. Now, whatever we say about the Duke of York, one thing we can't accuse him of is treachery or fighting for the other side. He's fought very honourably for his nation, and he thus far has not turned on his family or the institution, hasn't written any embarrassing books. So,
well, there's still time, Robert. There's still time. What do you think was the final nail in the coffin? Because we've got yet more lurid allegations in your sister paper today, the Mail on Sunday, and others, talking about how Epstein bankrolled Fergie, talking about the fact that he put pressure via his own taxpayer-funded bodyguard to try and smear Virginia Roberts-Giuffre, who is one of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's main accusers. She's deceased now. She died by suicide back in April. Obviously, this memoir is being published posthumously next week. Do you think it was just in anticipation of the memoir, or was it the revelation that he had maintained that friendship with Epstein after he said he hadn't to Emily Maitlis? What do you think was the sort of final straw for the King?
It's interesting. What was the final straw? I mean, clearly this was an accumulation of factors on two fronts. One was the ever louder drip, drip, drip of accusations. And I do think last weekend's Mail on Sunday article, which produced an email, which frankly drove a coach and horses through that Newsnight interview from 2019, because it made it quite clear that when the Duke, ex-Duke, said, he'd severed connections with Jeffrey Epstein in 2010, that was not the case. I think that was a major factor. And then all week we had further, the usual round of sort of Prince Andrew headlines, not least that he was linked to in some way to the collapsed parliamentary spy case. So on the one hand, you've got the Andrew accusations coming through. On the other factor is the distraction, the fact that there were major royal events last week and they simply weren't even getting airtime. I mean, the King embracing Indigenous leaders from Australia, the King announcing that he's off to Rome to pray with the Pope. I mean, no British monarch, no Supreme Governor of the Church of England has knelt and prayed with the Pope in public, I think ever, but certainly not since Henry VIII. I mean, that should be a very important matter, something the King cares about deeply. And it just, it wasn't breaking through because of the Wall of Andrew noise. Now, I mean, the Andrew allegations are not going to go away, I imagine, in the next few days, because this is the big news. They are going to carry on. But in time, they will subside. They're not going to be any less sensational because he's not called the Duke of York. But I think what people do understand is that, they really do have nothing to do with the King and the working unit of the royal family who are just trying to get on with the job.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying, data brokers often target vulnerable people with high interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
So does that mean then, Robert, just to clarify, we shouldn't expect to see Andrew or Sarah Ferguson at any royal events, both sort of state occasions or indeed private ones, in the sense of recently, for instance, they attended the Duchess of Kent's funeral. It wasn't a state funeral, it was a royal funeral. We shouldn't expect to see them, but that their daughters, Princess Beatrice and Eugenie, may still be included in royal family affairs, for instance, Christmas at Sandringham.
Yeah, I think we certainly. My understanding is that a very key part of this of the King's sort of planning was that this should not somehow involve ripping up the birthright and titles of Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, for whom the King has a great deal of affection and love and I think actual admiration for what they've been through and come out the other side. So no, that I don't think they'll be affected. But yes, there's no question that the King has made it clear that Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, as we now call her, will not be with the royal family at Christmas. That then moves us forward to, well, when will we next see them? He does like turning up at Easter. It's one of the family occasions when he's very fond of striding down through the castle. I suspect he'll be asked to stay away from that. I mean, you can't obviously tell someone to stay away from church. It's a public place, so we'll see. Then the only other thing will be royal weddings and funerals. I think even his harshest critics would have to acknowledge you can't stop somebody from attending the funeral of a loved one.
Yes. But, I mean, it would be great if he could just attend funerals and other events without making himself centre stage. We've just been playing out, while you've been speaking, Robert, that extraordinary footage of him at the Duchess of Kent's funeral, where he's trying to talk to Prince William, the Prince of Wales. William's having none of it. I was told on Friday that Prince William's fingerprints will have been all over this, that he has got no truck with his errant uncle. And it poses difficulties for Andrew moving forward because, of course, the Prince of Wales and the Princess of Wales live on the Windsor Great Park estate. So does Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. They're in Royal Lodge. It's a 30-room house. He's holding on to this property for dear life. But I think there's going to be a growing clamour for them both to be evicted from that place.
Well, it's certainly, as is the nature of news, it doesn't like a vacuum. So we very quickly moved on. He's lost his titles. Right, what should he lose next? And I think there's a lot of growing opinion focusing around the house. I mean, yes, the shots you just showed there of that was the funeral of the Duchess of Kent, where we saw, the Duke of York just showing, I think, a sort of a remarkable lack of tact. Marching around in front of the cameras when, frankly, the best place would have been to stand at the back and not look for airtime, as it were. But that's I think that's the sort of what we're dealing with. But in terms of the house, well, he does have a lease on that house, as
Yes.
you know, you and I know, Camilla. I mean, you know, and leasehold law. I mean, he has every much right to stay in that house, as you know, as we all do if we own a property, either freehold or leasehold. The one area where there would be grounds for eviction is if he can't maintain either the maintenance bills or the security bills, because that house does come with a certain degree of, you know, it's got to be kept in good condition, and it's got to be kept safe. At the moment, he's footing those bills himself, but if suddenly, you know, the roof starts to cave in, there aren't any guards, you start getting graffiti or whatever, then that would be grounds for the Crown Estate, and it is a Crown Estate property. It's not the sort of King's grace and favour. It's not for the King to say, but then, you know, the Duke would be in breach of the terms of his lease, and he would be turfed out. Where he goes then is a very good question. But, you know, the other issue I'm hearing a lot about is, well, why is he still called Prince? He has had everything he has received in terms of honours since he was born. But, I mean, that was how he came into this world. And again, I think we have to keep a slight degree of context and nuance here, because however much you know, people might dislike him, to take away the title of Prince. I mean, the last time that happened was involving, you know, as I say, enemies of this country fighting at war. Now he's not in that category. So I think, you know, if he could possibly stay away from going for rides around the park on royal horses, that would certainly help in the days ahead.
Robert Hardman, we need to leave it there, but thank you very much indeed. Just to say that Prince Andrew has previously and continues to deny any wrongdoing. On the accusation involving a Met police officer, Andrew declined to comment when approached by the Daily Mail. The Metropolitan Police said that they were looking into the claims.